I'm going to talk about the Oxford interviews. The primary selection of Oxford is mainly based on your grades, your admission test scores, and your written works. If you meet the eligibility criteria and you have really good grades, then you have a very high chance of being called for an interview, which the announcements of which are given in mid-November. The interviews take place in December, the specifics of which you can easily find on the university website. Usually applicants are asked to visit the Oxford campus, where you can usually live for around a week for free with your family, which is actually pretty great, but it's not an opportunity a lot of us have because of the visa issues. So in case you cannot travel to the UK during the time of your interview, please do inform the Oxford admissions panel or the college who communicated with you and make them understand the situation. They're very understanding when it comes to this, and they will try their best to arrange an online interview for you with the same facilities. This is what happened in my case. I was unable to go there because I did not have a visa and there was not enough time. So I attended an interview via Zoom, and it was a very great experience. However, due to the pandemic, all the interviews this year are likely to be online anyways, so be sure to check that out if you are invited for an interview. When it comes to preparing for an interview, from the time that you're informed about the interview, you will have approximately 3 weeks to prepare, which is, to be honest, absolutely sufficient if you are truly passionate about your subject. The interview is completely academic and subjective. It is meant to be a replica of an Oxford tutorial, where you will have a student-tutor discussion session, you will have a tutor from the college where you're interviewing, and you will usually have a few questions regarding your subject, a few questions about your personal statement, and a discussion on a topic. Usually a very unfamiliar question where you're required to think and give your opinion on the topic. My first and foremost tip would be to go through your personal statement. Look at the books you've mentioned if you have. Revise the things you mentioned you studied within your school or outside, because the tutor will ask you something completely random from your personal statement, and you do not want to be caught off guard on something you have previously stated that you have done. For instance, I mentioned a particular science project that I did for a science fair and how it had interested me. It was something about microorganisms, and it was something that really inspired me, and I was later asked in my interview on what I did with the knowledge I gained and whether I did any further reading and on whether I really learned anything new afterwards. So it is really important to know your personal statement and its contents well. Secondly, make sure you know your school syllabus regarding your subject well. If the subject is not taught in school, then don't fret, as you will probably then be given reading material 1 hour in advance to your interview, and do read this material very carefully because you will be asked questions regarding it later on during the interview. Also remember that the interview is not about how many questions you get correct or wrong. I personally got at least 3 answers wrong, and my interviewer, who was a tutor at one of my colleges, very kindly, but to my horror at that time, corrected me on spot. However, if you do realize that you don't know the answer to a question, do not straight away say that you don't know. Instead, try. Try to think of the information you have been given, try to process it in your mind, and keep calm and keep talking. Walk your interviewer through your thoughts. Tell them each and everything you're thinking, and jot them down on a paper. You will have paper. Jot them down, draw diagrams, draw graphs, show it to them, explain what you're thinking, so that even if you do not approach the answer, you do have the ability to show them that you did think of it, that you do have the means to solve it, and that you do have an open mind to new ideas. At the end of the interview, you will usually be asked if you have any questions, and ensure that your questions are things that cannot be answered easily. Feel free to ask challenging questions regarding your interests, any ideas on their research if you know that they're conducting any. I personally asked my interviewer on how viable and promising researching on viral genetics would be at the university, And luckily, this was something he was researching on already, and it led to a 15-minute conversation, overtime conversation, on the ongoing research at the university on the subject now. And that is very great, because even if you do not get through the interview, the opportunity of talking about your subject with someone who is an expert in that field is too immense to pass up. Make the most of it. Finally, remember that the key to acing an interview is to smile, be confident, and take control of the situation, and you'll be fine. Moving on to the scholarship applications, as I mentioned earlier, that Oxford is very selective in its scholarships. I am attending Oxford on a full scholarship, including accommodation costs and an annual airfare. Something you should know is that the UK has almost no financial aid options for its international students, so any scholarship you apply for is going to have to be merit-based. It may take into account your needs, but that is usually a side factor, and there will be other requirements which will take precedence over your need information. The fact that I obtained a full scholarship from the university in itself was something that I was not really expecting, because it is really a stroke of luck, or rather very difficult to get it. In fact, Oxford has a very limited number of full tuition scholarships available to international students, and a few of them are nationality specific, while US students also can apply for the US Direct Loan Program. However, there are two scholarships that most developing country students should keep an eye out for, and those are Reach Oxford Scholarship and Simon and June Lee Scholarship. I received the Reach Oxford Scholarship, which I'm utterly grateful for, but the others are also quite good, and also each scholarship only has 2 or 3 of them being given out, so it's better if you really apply for more than one. You cannot apply for a scholarship at Oxford until you have been offered a place in mid-January. The scholarship portals open then, and the deadlines are usually stated on the website. The scholarship application will require a separate recommendation letter from a subject teacher and 4 essays. They also ask you to state your annual family income, but rest assured that you do not have to provide any documentation to prove it. You only need to state the numbers there. As for the essay prompts, the 4 topics that I had to write on were financial need, academic merit, social commitment, and availability of resources. Financial need is a topic where you actually do not have to provide any specifics, you do not have to provide any amounts, but you have to paint a picture of why the scholarship should be given to you, because you have to prove it to them through your words, through your stories, that you cannot study at the university if you do not receive the scholarship, because otherwise someone else might as well get it and they would be able to study. So you have to show them that you truly do need the money to study there. And second of all, there's academic merit. You have to show how you're eligible to study the subject, how you will flourish in it, why you think you'll flourish in it, what you've done, what you've read, what you've achieved, your grades. All these come into play in this particular essay, which is not going to be more than a 200-word essay. Social commitment is where your extracurriculars to the society come in, as well as any responsibility roles you might have taken in the household, for instance, taking care of sick parents, sick grandparents, in taking care of younger siblings, or in working in charity homes. It's something that you have to show that you are willing to commit to society, and that you are willing to invest in the welfare of the people and not just in yourself. It is also a good idea to sometimes add in an afterthought towards the end of the essay to show that, yes, perhaps after getting this degree, something you're willing to do to improve the society back at home, back to your country. And that is a very crucial point that they want to see. Lastly comes the availability of resources. This is actually a question regarding what resources are available at your home country to study this subject at an undergraduate level, since you're applying for it. This is actually a very tricky essay because you have to maintain a very thin, very fine balance. You cannot really go and say that there is no opportunities because there likely are something or the other in your country regarding this subject, some research, some college that offers it, but you cannot really say that there's a lot of it either, because you have to remember why they're asking this question. They want to know whether you can study this even if you do not arrive at Oxford. So you have to show them that you do need to go to Oxford to obtain the expertise that you want to achieve, to flourish in your passionate subject or your course. So keep a fine balance between the two, and that will do fine for the last essay. Talk around, get information about what's going on, read newspapers, talk to your subject teacher. They will usually have very good ideas of what's going on in your country regarding your subject. Something you should remember about Oxford scholarships is that they are very competitive, as I mentioned earlier. Around 2 to 3 of each full scholarship is given out each year, so a lot of it really depends on the board and their perspectives and what stands out to each individual in the board that particular year. Also, all the colleges do not participate in the scholarship scheme each year, so if you are selected for a scholarship and your college is not participating in the scheme, the university will make arrangements for college transfer for you. This is what happened to me. I was admitted to Trinity, but due to my scholarship offer, I had to be transferred to Exeter because Trinity was not participating in the scholarship scheme this year. But I don't think that is a very big problem because each college has its own unique facilities. So in my opinion, since your academic experience is not really being altered by your change of college, it really isn't a very major problem. So just give it your best shot and cross your fingers on this one, because that's really all you can do other than working hard on the applications. Lastly, I know that the application process is going to be a bit daunting and taxing, no matter how much you prepare in advance. So take a deep breath and believe that you're going to make it. Keep in touch with your university via emails or phone calls. Oxford has a very helpful admissions team who will be very understanding of your problems and situations and will respond promptly. And they have a very interactive websites and events such as virtual open days, which will allow you to get a better idea of the university. So do make use of these. Keep a sharp eye for the deadlines, and since any offer from the UK will be conditional unless you have already graduated from high school, it is important that you do keep a strong hold on your academics at the same time as applying. Do not let your grades fall. Finally, I hope that this has helped you a bit with your decisions and your questions, and I hope that you all stay safe, stay well, and good luck with your applications!